This one point where I was just holding my hand over my head and I just said, I don't know why you're doing this. I love you. And she said, if you love me, you'll let me do this. And then she stabbed it into my neck.
There are two main reasons that women fake pregnancies. She may think it will keep her partner around, or she may have a pregnancy fantasy. The pregnancy fantasy tends to be someone who craves the attention that people give pregnant women. Most of these women are not necessarily psychotic, meaning they haven't lost touch with reality, or they don't necessarily have a serious mental illness. The women that had a mental illness and fabricated pregnancy believed they were pregnant despite being told otherwise by professionals. The women that fall under the category of not having a mental illness know they are not pregnant and simply just lie. The lying can be a coping mechanism for difficulty in their relationship or for the loss of a child. As the fabricated pregnancy gets farther along, the woman has to come up with an end to the ruse. This could be claiming she had a miscarriage, or they will need to find a baby to claim as their own. Sometimes these women want so badly for their lie to be true that they don't always think through the entire plan. In today's video, we will look at Dynel Lane. She had a boyfriend at the time and 3 children from a past relationship. She had 2 teenage daughters and 1 son that drowned in the backyard when he was only 13 months old. Dynel Lane was known as a quiet and caring mother. Nothing stood out to her family and friends as unusual. That is, until she announced that she was pregnant again. At first, her pregnancy seemed normal. She posted pictures showing off her baby bump. She had a baby shower with friends and family, and provided sonogram pictures for everyone to see. Dynel told everyone that her due date was set for November 2014. November rolled around, then December, then January. Dynel posted on Facebook in January that she had her baby and that he was doing well. At this point, there still was no baby to show. People were becoming very suspicious of her pregnancy. One of Dynel's boyfriend's friends posted on Facebook to get advice about her concerns. She stated, "Non-boyfriend advice needed. I have a friend whose wife is pregnant, and he confided on my fiancé that she refuses to go to the doctor. Her whole pregnancy has been sketchy. She supposedly had a hysterectomy, but then got pregnant, which I know can happen, and she wouldn't let him go to the doctors with her. Then she was supposedly due mid-November, then mid-December. Here it is, mid-January, and still no baby. I'm confused. Is it considered child endangerment if she won't go to the doctor? I don't know how long it's been, but her husband is concerned." The Facebook post received response that in hindsight is eerie. The Facebook poster stated, "She may be attempting to find someone whom she can get a baby from in order to present this to her husband. I know this is all conspiracy theory-like, but this should be taken seriously. If she is claiming to be pregnant but has had a hysterectomy, she has an ectopic pregnancy which would require intervention in order for the baby to survive and mom to survive. She is likely making this up, maybe because she is grieving her lost uterus, or the fact that she can no longer carry a baby in her womb. My concern would be for any pregnant woman being around her, because if she is desperate, she may do the unmentionable and harm the mother and take the baby." A month later, in mid-February, 3 months after Dynel's due date, her boyfriend David gives her an ultimatum. He tells her that she either needs to make a doctor's appointment that he can attend, or Dynel and her children need to leave the house. Her boyfriend had shown concern in the past, but accepted her excuses. He confided in his friends about his suspicions regarding his wife's pregnancy. One conversation he had was with his friend John. These messages read, "John, I'm sorry to hear what's going on. David, a lot of fighting with family. Almost kicked them all out yesterday. Dee and the girls? Yup. Bro, I'm sorry if you need anything. Dee still hasn't had the baby? No, she has been lying to me when the little guy is going to be here. She has an appointment on 16th, and if I don't go to this one and find out what the hell is going on, she is gone." Seriously, that's kind of messed up. Yes, it is. I know as much as you do about this baby. Something has always come up and went wrong every time I was going to the doctor with her. So I have never been to the doctor with her. Do you think she is trying to hide something from you? Yes, I do. I wish she would tell me what the heck it is. Her boyfriend had gone with her to fake doctor's appointments in the past.
That she had doctor's appointments, and I'd take off work and we would go and sit in these waiting rooms for a couple hours, and something always went wrong. She would get agitated and we'd wind up leaving.
On March 16th, 4 months after Dynel's due date, it was time for Dynel's appointment, and right before they were supposed to leave, magically, the washer started leaking. Water was everywhere, and she slipped and hurt herself. This prompted them to cancel the doctor's appointment. Dynel knew her time was running out, and she needed to act in order to keep her boyfriend from kicking them out of the house. This is a big deal for Dynel because she didn't have a job and she still had 2 children to care for. She posted a Craigslist ad offering free maternity clothing. As expected, shortly after she posted the ad, she received a response from a pregnant woman named Michelle. According to court documents, the messages read, "Maternity clothing still available? Totally interested. Would love to have. Belly is bigger than ever." March 18th, 2 days after Dynel's fake doctor's appointment, Michelle arrived to Dynel's house around 12 p.m. Dynel knew her boyfriend was going to be home around 2:30 p.m. that day. Dynel took Michelle to the bedroom on the upper level of the house to show her the maternity clothing. She spoke with Dynel for about an hour before trying to leave and felt bad for her because she seemed lonely. As Michelle was trying to leave the house, Dynel told her she might have some baby clothing in the basement that she might be interested in. In an effort to not seem rude, Michelle agrees to go to the basement with her. This is when Michelle would be shoved into the second bedroom in the basement, where she would get attacked. In Michelle's testimony, we will hear her recount what took place when she entered the house.
You talked with her about her being pregnant.
Yes.
And she told you what?
That she was 2 weeks over past her due date.
Okay. And this was on March 18th.
Yes.
And when she told you that, what did you think?
I thought
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled. Let me answer the question.
I thought that she was really petite, but I don't know that many people, that have been pregnant. Not a lot of my close friends have been, so
Okay.
I didn't really know what to make of it, Come home and then go out to the gym, and they didn't really spend a lot of quality time. And about her daughters, and she said they were in high school, and those teenagers who didn't want to talk to their mom, and and I kind of gathered that she was kind of like
Objection calls for speculation.
So you guys talked. How long do you think you talked?
I don't know. It felt like a long time, like maybe an hour or something.
Did it seem like too long?
Yeah, I mean, several times I told her that I had to go, and I thought she was lonely because she just kept talking over me whenever I brought that up, and so I felt like I was being thoughtful, and listening to her and being kind to her. And we went into this room to the left down the stairs, and I just remember there was like a game console and lots of shelving, and so she kind of looked like she was looking all through the shelving. And so eventually I just said, I actually don't really need anything. Thank you for sharing the house with me and giving me these. And I just turned around to walk towards the door. When I was at the front door and I opened the door, and she said, before I knew I was having boys, some people gave me some girls' clothes. And if you want them, I can give them to you, and I can go dig them up. And
Did she tell you where the girl clothes were?
She said they were downstairs.
Okay.
And she reached in front of me and she closed the door. And I just felt kind of impatient, but that I would just be polite and go see them, even though I didn't really need any more clothes.
Once they were in the basement, the entire mood changed. Dynel shoved Michelle into the downstairs bedroom and began attacking her. Michelle recounted her confusion when Dynel turned the blame onto her for the attack. The point of doing this is to remove the brain's natural inhibitions that prevents people from committing crimes. By blaming Michelle for starting the altercation, this allowed Dynel to justify her actions.
This time also, I slipped my cell phone because I didn't have a purse on me. I just slipped it into the bag because I felt like I didn't know where this was going. And so she's like grabbing me and trying to shove me towards the bathroom. And you know, I'm pushing against her, and we're sort of wrestling, you know, as I'm trying to get back towards the door. She asked me, she kept threatening to call the cops. And so then I pulled out my cell phone at that moment, and I said, well, I'll call the cops then. And she lunged for the phone, and then she started hitting my face repeatedly with her fist and just wrestling me backwards.
Dynel Lane tried everything she could to kill Michelle. She smothered her with a pillow, and when that didn't work, she tried strangling Michelle with her hands. When that wasn't working either, Dynel grabbed the lava lamp near the bed and smashed Michelle in the head with it. The lava lamp shattered, and Dynel grabbed one of the pieces and stabbed Michelle in the neck, aiming for the carotid artery. Michelle fought harder than ever to survive for her unborn child. We will hear Michelle recount what she did during these moments to survive the brutal attack. Note, when Michelle mentions a bottle being used in the attack, she is referring to the lava lamp.
She stopped using the pillow. I think I knocked it out of her hands, and then she just used her hands, kept hitting me, and tried to choke me. I just remember I kept asking her why she was doing that. I just kept saying, why are you doing this? And I just remember this one point where I was just holding my hand over my head, and I just said, I don't know why you're doing this, I love you. And she broke the bottle over my head. I think actually what happened was she grabbed this bottle first from in front of the window, which the way it was floating, I thought it was like oil and vinegar. It was, I don't know, and she picked it up and she smashed it over my head, and that's when I held up my hand. I said, I don't know why you're doing this, I love you. And she said, if you love me, you'll let me do this. And then she stabbed it into my neck.
And can you show the jury where on your neck she stabbed?
Right here.
And you still have a scar there?
I do.
Okay. And that's on your left side of your neck?
It is.
All right, do you remember feeling that stabbing?
I do, and I just remember everything was wet and slippery, and I remember when she stabbed me, and then she removed it, and then she continued to try to choke me after that. And she was trying to choke me. I remember thinking of Aurora and feeling like I just thought of her, and I felt like I wanted to survive also for her. And so I fought back harder, and I remember she got up, she was straddling me before, and she went further up and actually pinned down my arms with her knee, and actually used, I remember she was trying so hard to choke me, and then when she got closer, she just bore down with her whole weight on the heel of her hand over my windpipe, and I just remember everything going black.
After Michelle blacked out, Dynel cut her open and removed the baby. Dynel spent about an hour trying to clean up the mess. She first placed the baby in the bathtub, then she threw Michelle on the floor so she could wash the bloody bedding and towels. There was more of a mess than Dynel anticipated, and her boyfriend was due home soon. She was desperate to buy time, so she called him at 2 p.m. to ask him to stop at her daughter's school to sign paperwork. He ended up going to the house and found the baby in the bathtub. Dynel told him she had a miscarriage, so they went to the hospital. Michelle had been unconscious in the bedroom for about an hour. The whole time she was profusely bleeding from her abdomen and neck.
I woke up on the floor of the room, and I remember my first instinct was to get up, and I just felt this really intense pain in my stomach. And I looked down and, I just saw this really big cut across my stomach, and I pulled my pants for high-waisted pregnancy pants, so I pulled them up, And I started looking around the room, things started coming back about, how she had attacked me. So, I kind of started thinking, maybe she's still in the house. Should I go? I can't outrun her. If I'm in so much pain, I can't outrun her if I go through the front door. And there was a window, and I was kind of putting together an escape plan in my head. Should I climb out the window or make a run for it? And the first thing I thought I would do was just block the door. And so I just stood up, and my feet couldn't support me, so I just fell forward and on top of my hand. And when I did that, I just felt the blood seeping through my pants, and I could feel my intestines outside of my body.
Okay.
And so I could.
Is it fair to say you didn't think you could climb out the window?
Yes.
Did you try to shut the door?
I willed myself to stand and stumble towards the door. And, my vision felt really blurry, so I feel like, I closed the lock and put the lock, and when I turned around next to the bed were still both of our cell phones. I guess it was hers. I saw mine and another cell phone. And so I just stumbled back to the bed and laid down on my back and picked up my phone.
We will hear Michelle's 911 call that was made while Dynel was at the hospital. She stated that she repeatedly asked for help as a way to stay awake and connected to reality. Every moment, Michelle was struggling to stay alive, given how much blood she had already lost.
911, address of your emergency. What's the problem? Tell me. Okay, tell me what happened.
They cut me.
Who cut you?
Downstairs. I don't know. Please. I'm downstairs.
Okay, who cut you?
There's a girl I was wanting to return my cat.
Where did she cut you at?
I'm pregnant.
What is the suspect's name?
I don't remember.
What's your name?
Michelle.
I know you need to stay on the phone with me, okay? I'm getting everybody to you, okay? I know, you stay with me, okay? I got everybody coming to help you. You stay on the phone, don't hang up. I need you to take a towel and put it on your wound. How many wounds do you have?
No.
More than one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Please help me.
They're on their way. They're trying to find you, Michelle. Are they in the house yet?
He's downstairs? Yeah, they're here.
Okay, I'll let you go.
The paramedics arrived and didn't know what they were going to walk into. We will hear the testimony from one of the paramedics that helped save Michelle that day. He will recount what he saw as he approached her.
She was covered from head to toe in blood. And then the entire room was also blood everywhere. Began to ask her what happened and where she was injured. And she pointed to her stomach and said she had been stabbed in her stomach.
Did you look at her stomach?
I did. She had maternity pants on and a stretchy material. So I pulled them up and looked down and saw a very large injury to her.
And can you describe concisely what you saw?
I saw her intestines hanging out of her stomach.
Okay. Was Ms. Wilkins conscious?
She was.
And did you talk to her?
I did, yes, sir.
What did she say?
I asked her where else she was injured.
What did she tell you?
She told me, she pointed to her neck, and I observed an injury roughly in this area of her neck.
Was that injury, the injury to her neck, was that bleeding?
It was, yes, sir.
Bleeding heavily or lightly or how?
I guess a medium flow. Blood was constantly coming out of it.
All while Michelle was struggling for her life, Dynel was at the hospital with the baby. She claimed the baby was hers and that someone needed to save it. Since Dynel claimed that she had a miscarriage, the doctors went to examine her. They clearly saw that she had not delivered a baby and had not been pregnant recently. Once the doctors realized that she didn't give birth and the call came in that there was an emergency in the OBGYN department, they put 2 and 2 together. Officers went into Dynel's hospital room and questioned her about the situation. They asked her about the cuts on her hand, and she claimed to not remember how she got them, despite them being fresh, deep cuts. This is the recording of that conversation.
Who else was at your house? Nobody was at the house. Okay. It was me and my husband. No one else got there. Anyone come to visit you today? I don't know anybody here. Okay. Okay, well, I've got a problem. There was a young girl in your apartment. And she was cut. Because we've got officers there right now. I don't. There wasn't anybody there when I left.
Is it Dynel?
Yes.
Is that pronounced right? My name's Danny. So I'm going to hang out with you for a bit. Just we'll see what's going on, okay? And then we'll get this sorted out just as quickly as possible.
I don't understand. I don't know what she's talking about.
What was she saying?
She said there was a woman at my house and maybe he just died. I can't believe that. What's this girl that she's telling me about? Well, no, she said there was a girl at my house.
The detective was saying that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got here a while ago and she asked me to come. So I'm not privy to what some of the information. I'm just a patrol officer. So I'm not privy to some of the information they have. What's the deal with the girl?
How long does the blood test take?
About 10 minutes, I think. What's the deal with the girl?
I don't know. She said there was some girl at my house and she kept asking me if I was by myself today, and I said I'm always by myself. I was getting ready for my doctor's appointment and she was like, well, did you have any visitors today? And I said no.
You sure you don't know who that lady may be she was talking about?
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to calm down. I'm just trying to understand what's going on. She was at my house.
That's what I'm kind of figuring out.
Get a phone number I can call them from.
Is there a probability that the DNA for the baby won't match you?
No, she's mine.
100%?
Baby abductions are rare and usually are by means of stealing an infant from the hospital. It is very rare for a baby to be stolen directly out of someone's womb. Women steal babies for a couple of reasons. It may be because they can't conceive one themselves, or because they haven't healed from the loss of their own child. Dynel lost her son to a drowning accident when he was only 13 months old. While this may seem like the reason in Dynel's case, her actions didn't show that she truly wanted another child, but rather just wanted to secure her boyfriend's attention. One action that exemplified this would be the fact that she was more worried about cleaning up after the attack than making sure the baby would survive. Dynel just needed to show her boyfriend proof that she wasn't lying so he wouldn't kick her out of the house. Her boyfriend took care of her before and during her pregnancy, and she wanted to ensure this would continue since she wasn't working. As we heard in the previous recording, she originally pretended not to have any idea what was going on. That would later change. During Dynel's interrogation, she won't admit to the whole truth, but parts of the truth. She will turn the blame onto Michelle, just like she tried to do when she was attacking her. We will hear Dynel's interrogation recording play in the courtroom. She will claim Michelle attacked her first, and that all of her actions were in self-defense and in the best interest of the baby.
I was like, okay, well, she's like, well, I need to go. I was like, okay. So I turned around, and before I knew it, she had, I think it was a knife that I had opened my box with that had been sitting on the counter. That's, I think, how I cut my hand. but she came at me, and I just kind of reacted, and then we ended up in my daughter's room, and she just kept trying to hit me. And I asked her, I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, stop. And I didn't have my phone with me, so I felt completely, I don't even know after that. I was grasping at her, and she was grasping at me, and I finally had gotten to the point where I had her down, and I'm like, just stop. And she was just flailing, but she wouldn't stop, and it just seemed like every time I would kind of get leverage, she would come at me again. She kept trying to punch me, and she was trying to bite me. I think I choked her. Okay. And once you choked her, what happened? She was still trying to hit me, and she was biting at me, and I don't even know, it was a struggle. It was a big struggle, and I was yelling. I was trying to maybe get my neighbors to hear me, and I was trying to grab for her phone, but she, I think, had a lock on it. I'm not sure, but I was like, I need to call 911, and I strangled her because she wouldn't stop.
Okay.
What were you thinking about with the baby?
I thought I killed her. I was like, I killed this woman. They always tell you not to do things by yourself on Craigslist, but I didn't. It was a pregnant woman. I didn't think anything of it.
Okay, so what happened when she was unconscious before your husband got home?
It was just a momentary reaction. I was thinking that, I was like, oh my God, I thought I killed her, and I didn't want the baby to die too.
The OBGYN doctor that testified stated that the C-section that was performed on Michelle wasn't perfect, but looked like an intern did it. Dynel was a nurse's aide, but her license expired, so presumably this is where she got the knowledge to perform the C-section. Despite this, the baby didn't survive the attack. Michelle was 7 months pregnant at the time that her baby was removed from the womb. With proper medical care, a 7-month-old baby has about an 80% chance of survival. This baby could have been viable given proper medical attention.
So, Ms. Wilkins, did you ever give the defendant permission to cut you or to take your baby?
No.
Okay. When did you first realize that you were no longer pregnant with the woman?
It was not till the next day in the hospital when I woke up.
And someone told you what had happened to a woman? Do you remember?
I think I realized. But I still asked Dan when we were in the hospital when they pulled all the tubes out.
We will hear Dynel's defense team argue that this was not premeditated. If they can prove that to the jury, then the charge would not be an attempted first-degree murder charge. This could lessen her sentence.
Think about it. If her intent was to lure Miss Wilkins to her house for the sole purpose of cutting her baby out, why would she pick that day that she had so little time? Why would she wait so long after Miss Wilkins got to her house to attack her? Why would she have a plan of how she was going to kill her? Why would she have a story to tell her family? Or at the very least, a story to tell the police?
Dynel was found guilty of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of first-degree assault, 2 counts of second-degree assault, and unlawful termination of a pregnancy. In this case, Dynel could not be charged with murder. Although Dynel's boyfriend thought he saw the baby take a gasp of air, the autopsy of the baby did not show any sign of life outside of the womb. Revealed that the lungs never filled up, which means she never took a breath. The Colorado law doesn't recognize a fetus as a baby until there is life outside of the womb. Dynel was sentenced to 100 years in prison. Do you think this attack was premeditated? Do you think there are other reasons Dynel did this? Thank you for watching, and join me next time when we explore the psychological maze of some of the most wicked people.